everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. Welcome to my secret garden. I know I haven't filmed over here in such a long time. There's just been a number of things that have gone wrong over here that Jason and I have been working on and trying to take care of, gotten frustrated about, put on the back burner, and then came back. So I am out here today. I am trying to take care of it. I got the fountain running, which is a big deal. This fountain, it gives me a tough time. It gives me a hard time. I just have to figure out exactly how to set it up so that it is not such a hassle for me every single time. It runs dry and then the motor burns out, and then I have to replace the motor and I have to figure out what motor I have to put in. So this is the third motor that I've bought for this fountain, and I'm determined for this to be the last one. So let me take you all through and show you all the secret garden. The secret garden is on the north side of my house, and I know I've told you all this a million times, but basically when I moved in here, it was like late summer, almost fall, and I thought this whole area was a almost full shade garden. And so I started planting up this area and planning this area, and I called it my secret shade garden. Well, come late spring summer, I realized as the sun went higher in the sky, I realized that this is not a shade garden. Maybe right up close to the house is a shade garden, but over here it is not a shade garden. It is what I would call a sun transition garden, which means it is shady during the winter and then it is hot, intense sun during the summer. And so this whole garden has gone through a couple reiterations, and I'm trying to figure it out, but I think it's a good example that even with the best laid plans, you know, Mother Nature has her own ideas of what's going to work and what's not going to work in this garden. So it really is beautiful. This is the most formal part of my whole entire garden, with the pathways and with the lion fountain and with the topiaries. Like it's gonna be beautiful once I really figure it out, but it does take some time. So this fountain, actually my friend Robbie from Visit Our Garden, he has the exact same one. We got this fountain on it's like a steal, basically. We got it for like $300. The gentleman that was selling these, he made concrete forms. He actually retired and went out of business, so you can't get this fountain anymore. And I have gone through and I've tried to fix it a couple times, and then it stops working and I get frustrated and I ignore it. And I finally, I love the sound of this fountain. It's so wonderful. And my house, even though I live out in the country, I live by a busy street and goats and horses and chickens and an airport, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So having the sound of water is really, really nice to have. So I'm going to try my hardest to have this fountain working. I finally set up this fountain. A lot of you told me in the comment section that there was I think it was called a direct motor fountain that won't burn out if it dries out, but I had already bought this fountain already from Amazon. So I hooked it up. There is a little spot for the wire to come out of, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna make sure it all works before I put it in that spot. And then what I did this time is I actually hooked up drip irrigation to the fountain as well. So every time my drip irrigation goes off, it's going to refill with water. And I think that will help, because I can say I'm going to be on top of it and I can say that I'm going to fill it up every single day, but you know, things happen, right? So I think having it as a backup and having it hooked up to drip, I think that's the way to go. So on either side of the fountain, it's flanked with these, I think they're hollies. I think that's what you call it. They're kind of a mess right now. I got to clean them up. They look really pretty though. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, sorry. So on either side, I have the topiaries, which look really pretty. And then the most beautiful thing in this whole garden is the surefire white begonia right here. And this is absolutely the best plant to put here, because during the winter, when it's very, very shady, this plant can handle it. And then during the summer, when it's very, very sunny, this plant can handle it. So I'm really, really loving having this plant here. You can see this area gets more shade than this area, and this one obviously got huge. This one is a little far behind, but that's okay. The other thing that I have going on here is I have Arborvitaes. I have, they're supposed to be in all four corners. One here, one beautiful one right here that needs to be taken out. I'm going to take this one out today. I have another one over here on this side that's looking good, that has survived and got hooked up to drip irrigation. And then this one that forgot to get hooked up to drip irrigation. I've told you guys this. It's an issue that Jason and I are dealing with. It's hooked up to drip now. We thought that it would bounce back, and it just didn't bounce back. We had like one really hot day and it didn't get water, and it just got stressed out and it just died. So I'm going to pull these guys today, and then I need to go to the store. Next time I'm at the store, I have to remember to grab some of these. I forgot last time I was there. But the main thing that I am doing today, you can see the hog panels that Jason hung for me. Look, that's why the fountain runs dry. That's his favorite thing. He has a bowl of water, but he will not drink out of the bowl of water. He wants running water. It's so funny. And it's fresh water that we give him. Like, trust me, it's fresh water, but he just likes the running water. It's so funny. Like, anytime I turn on a hose, he runs over to me and he tries to drink from the hose. So anyway, that's why it's good to have drip irrigation hooked up to my fountain. Okay, so these are hog panels. I actually have more of them that I'm going to put up higher, but we decided before we hung these up, we decided we wanted to paint them to match the fence. And I have some star jasmine that I have to grow up and over these hog panels. And I think that that will look really pretty. I actually used them I chose them for my May blooming garden because star jasmine blooms in May, blooms beautifully in May. I still have some blooms on these plants, a little bit. And I thought that they would be gorgeous to have this whole fence right here that's a pretty ugly fence. It's not a good fence, but I thought it would be beautiful to have it covered in star jasmine. So we hung these hog panels up, ended up taking them down because we decided we needed to paint them. And so then we painted some of them, but of course that took a little bit longer. And so at least now I have the lowest level of hog panels. So then I feel comfortable planting the star jasmine underneath it so the star jasmine can start growing up the hog panels. And I think that that will look really pretty, and it'll give this whole area even more of a room feel because I'm going to have the star jasmine just kind of right here as you come in these living walls that I have right here. So these living walls are welded wire. It's basically one panel, an arch, and another panel. And we put them all together with a rebar right there just to give them a little bit of stability. And then I'm growing Clematis armandii on them, which is really, really beautiful. And now over on that side, that gets morning sun. So it's doing really well. However, this side gets hot afternoon sun. And you can see it's not doing so well. So I got to find another climbing vine to put over on this western side of my secret garden. And I think what I'm going to try, my friend Greg, who's a plant nerd, he said to try bower vine, which I've never grown bower vine. So I'm going to try bower vine over on this side and see how it does. However, the Clematis armandii looks beautiful over on this side because it gets morning sun and it gets a little bit of protection from the walnut tree, my neighbor's walnut tree that hangs over. And you can see it's just absolutely beautiful. So the secret garden definitely has its problems. I wouldn't say problems. I would just say hiccups, hurdles that I need to figure out, and I need to figure out how to make it work. I have really big ideas for what I want this garden to look like. I just have to figure out how to fix it with the sun transition areas, west facing garden over there, east facing garden over here, fountain problems, dog problems, drinking my fountain water, all of that stuff. So anyway, what I want to do now is I want to take out the 2 dead Arborvitae. I want to get rid of them because I'm tired of looking at them. And eventually I will be replacing them with new ones. And then what I want to do is I want to plant all these star jasmines. I got 8 of them from the garden center a month ago. They've been sitting in their cans for a month, these poor things. So this is Tracheospermum jasminoides, I think is how you say it. Star jasmine, it's not a true jasmine. It is a fabulous plant. Zones 8 through 11, it is an evergreen. It can handle full sun to part shade, but it blooms better in full sun. But if you live in a really hot environment like I do, it likes some protection from the hot afternoon sun because sometimes the leaves can scorch if you put it in too much hot afternoon sun. So I have my espalier right here that is east facing, so it gets lots of beautiful morning sun, but then it's protected from the hot afternoon sun. And I don't think I have any scorching leaves over there. So I think these guys are going to be perfect over in the secret garden And plus they bloom and they smell absolutely incredible. And we can open our windows and we can smell this beautiful, beautiful scent. I just think it will be perfect. So anyway, I got 8 of these. I got small ones, but I got the specimens that were the most branching at the garden center. I was that weird person that was like checking each one and finding the perfect one that branched as much as it could, so that as I train this up and over the fence, they're going to kind of sprawl out, which is exactly what I want. And you can mimic that if you have another star jasmine and you want to train it to kind of spread all over a fence. If you just cut the tip of it, that will encourage lateral growth lower down on the stem, and that will prevent it from vining too much. So hopefully this will cover the fence in probably a year or 2 is my guess, maybe a little bit longer than that, since this area has a little bit more shade, but I'm willing to be patient because I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So this is a tough spot for me because I keep getting suckers from my neighbor's almond tree. And I keep pulling them and I keep using sucker punch on them, and it is just an intense tree. It wants to spread everywhere. So I just try and stay on top of it, but it's definitely something that I'm going to be dealing with for a while. So let me cut back all these suckers and see if I can get myself some more room to work here. These are suckers too. They're all over. So there's a lot of roots from this tree as well as the suckers, so it's just easier for me to use a hand tool like the hodag to get in here to plant these, rather than getting the big auger in here and trying to fit it not only around the plants that are already planted, but also the roots. Luckily, this soil has been amended with compost, so it's not too bad. Oh, I got a big irrigation pipe. Oh, I'm glad I didn't bring the auger over here. That was lucky. 3 down. So So I'm trying not to fill this hole in because I want to keep this hole for my new Arborvitae. But I want to plant this star jasmine about right here. And this is directly under my neighbor's black walnut tree, but star jasmine can handle the jugalone from the black walnut. So I think it should be just fine. Ooh, this is rocky soil. So I'll just be following these star jasmine as they grow up. I'll just come and twine them along the hog panels. And the purpose of the hog panels, star jasmine won't climb itself. It doesn't have any suckers or anything, which makes it a great vining plant. But it does need something to kind of twine in and out of if you want it to grow up a wall. So that's where the hog panels come, or the wires like on my espalier. All right, well done. Okay, so I just actually came through and I deadheaded the Brunnera, and I also deadheaded the Heuchera over here, and that made a big difference. I didn't realize how much those needed to be deadheaded, but it looks much, much better. They get their little bloom stalks on. We're so lucky because Heuchera is an evergreen for us, but they get their little bloom stalks on, and then I just want to leave the bloom stalks on forever because I think they're so beautiful. But it gets to the point that it's time for me to take them off. So I did that. I think that looks a lot neater. And then I also took the bloom stalks off the Brunnera, which, I don't know. This Brunnera I planted here when I thought that this was a full shade garden, and it really, really suffered. Last year, I thought it completely died back because everything got all crispy like this guy here, and then pretty soon it just basically disappeared. But then over the winter, it started growing again, and it actually bloomed this spring. The beautiful blue blooms. This is Jack of Diamonds Brunnera. It's really, really pretty, but we're just too hot here. It's just too much sun in this place. I could probably transplant it over to this side and it would do a lot better, but I don't know. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do. So I actually planted 7 of the star jasmine. I planted 4 over on this side. You can see there's one right there. There's one right there. You guys like my little pointer? my Heuchera bloomstalk, and then one right behind there. I do actually think that one's going to get enough sun because as the sun sets, the sun comes through the hog panel right there. So I think that one will get enough sun. Then I have 2 on either side of the fountain. One right there and one right there. I did want to plant one right here, but I couldn't bring myself to cut back the Surefire white begonia. So I'll wait until winter to plant another one right there. And then I have one back here, and finally one right there. So they will get really pretty. Again, we're going to do another layer of the hog panels. So there's hog panels all the way up. And I just want this whole fence to be completely covered with star jasmine. Then, depending on how the star jasmine does in the secret garden, wouldn't it be pretty to have star jasmine all along this fence right here behind the summerific hibiscus hedge? Wouldn't that be gorgeous? So I was just talking about how the summerific hibiscus hedge is deciduous and it'll die completely back in the winter, and I gotta have something evergreen. So wouldn't it be nice to have star jasmine all along that fence, and then it can kind of just be this one really, really long fence covered with star jasmine so you don't even see the ugly fence. I mean, what a great way to cover the fence. I don't know if it's going to do well there. I got to think about it basically, but I'm really happy that I finally got it here in the secret garden. It definitely needed it, and I definitely needed this fountain going. It's so nice when this fountain is going. Jason and I, we can be in the center island and we can hear it. We were just talking the other day how we've got to get up our fountain game. We've got to ramp our fountain game up because the sound of water could really be so beautiful in our garden. And I feel like we need water basically everywhere to mask out the other sounds that we have, including the goats. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm glad I got this done. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.